Hi there, you're watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. This is the Sacramento Report. I'm Jaime Garza, joined today by George Runner with the Board of Equalization. George, it's always good to have you.
Good morning, Jaime.
Let's talk about the Board of Equalization.
Sure.
I think a lot of people have heard about this agency, but maybe there's some people out there who really don't understand its purpose.
Right.
So let's set the ground rules real quick here and let us know, what is the Board of Equalization and what is its primary purpose?
Sure. You know, and I think you're right, because every 4 years they have this person on the ballot for the member of the Board of Equalization. They think, what in the world does they do?
Yeah.
What do they equalize what? and so I think it's a great question. So let me just start off with a very simple discussion about it, and that is California is the only state that has this kind of a board that is directly elected. And primarily what we do is we help develop regulations for tax implementation that comes out of the legislature. That's one of the issues we do. The other issue we do is we deal with appeals that come from people who feel like they were mistreated in the tax process. Now, these can be their income tax, it can be a special fund, it could be a sales tax, use tax. If they feel like somehow an audit was done incorrectly, or they paid too much money, or they're being asked to pay more money than they think they should, they can go ahead and follow an appeal process that brings them before the Board of Equalization. And the board, there are 4 directly elected members by these districts, and the 5th person that sits on it, excuse me, is the state controller. And so those are the 5 people who actually then deal with disputes that people will have.
So you're kind of watching our money, so to speak.
Well, I think so. I mean, I look at it, I mean, honestly, what I look at my role as is a taxpayer advocate. The tax system can be very confusing. It can be very hard on individuals who don't understand it. And so my role, I believe, is to make sure that there's actually a real person who stands between them and sometimes an insensitive bureaucracy at times, to help them make sure that they're treated fairly. And that's what I call, another key part of what we deal with is what I call constituent services. When somebody in the process feels like, hey, I was mistreated in the way this, I may owe the tax, but I think I was mistreated.
But you know, a lot of people, I think, George, believe that the elected officials, such as yourself, are untouchable. You can't communicate because there's always so many layers in between. And I know, I've known you for a while now, and you try to basically connect with the people that you represent. How can someone in your position help a constituent? I mean, it's a big bureaucracy, but how can you make a difference?
For instance, I got a call. I get calls at home. I get calls at my office, and these are individuals who all of a sudden might find themselves at odds with a tax agency. Like I said, sometimes they owe the tax, sometimes they don't. But let me give you an example. I had an individual, my daughter called me from Maine because she had a friend who called her that said, hey, I think your dad has something to do with the tax board. This Board of Equalization just came in and took thousands of dollars from my bank account on a Friday, and now I don't have any money. What can I do? And so my daughter called us, we called to that individual, and sure enough, they were in a tax dispute, and the board has the power to go ahead and take money out of your bank account. And so what we did is we talked to them, we had to wait till Monday. We ended up working out a solution for that taxpayer that put money back in their account, a payment process that became more reasonable in order to help them through that process. So
I think that's anything anybody wants, is to say, would you please listen to my concern and see what you can do? Because a lot of times you get that press 1, press 2, and you never really talk to a real person.
And a lot of times people, they may really owe the tax, but then let's be reasonable with how we implement it. I had another situation with a business. They came in, the tax agency came in, swept over $100,000 out of their bank account 2 days before their payroll was due. And all of a sudden they called up and said, hey, I've got 60 people we need to make payroll for, and we don't have any money. And so we went, got it worked out, got that money back in their account, worked out the proper appeal process. You know, and those are the kind of things we can do for constituents directly.
Well, I feel encouraged now. So if I do have a problem with the tax, I'm going to call your office or whoever my elected official may be in the Board of Equalization. George, thank you as always. And hopefully that helped you and provide you with some information at home too, just in case you need some help from the Board of Equalization. Thanks for watching.